The Austrian Armin Kugler.
Yeah, Armin is an interesting guy. He's such a serious-looking guy when he's on stage. Although this is the most I've seen him smile in any competition format in a long time.
Backstage,
backstage, he's always a laugh. Yeah, he's always got a smile on his face backstage. But he's all about the business on stage.
Alexandre Maurice from France.
Yeah, Alex is...
Practice the name, did you notice?
Yeah, Maurice. Very well done, nicely.
Merci
yeah,
beaucoup,
he's a we'll call him a more diminutive stature of athlete, but this is the trend at the moment. We're seeing guys that are a little bit smaller, a little bit more wiry, but still strong. But the thing is Alex has incredible stamina.
And the big man from France, that of course is Pierre Bubaret.
This is a guy that you cannot count out of any competition.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, yeah.
He has some tools in his toolkit that you would just go, what? Wait a minute, how did that come out? Yeah? He is an incredible athlete. He's an incredible sawyer, very good with the axe, and this is a format that he usually does quite well at.
Matthias Klima from the Czech Republic.
Matthias just coming out of the rookie ranks last season, I believe was his first pro season. Also a big lad, very, very strong, and you're going to see good things from him in the next little while. It's going to be a bit of seasoning. Yeah, exactly. It's going to still be maybe a bit of seasoning for Matthias, but once he gets there, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, the reigning champion coming up from Sweden, Emil Hansen.
Emil Hansen, oh, this guy has, he came on like a bolt of lightning a couple of years ago. He took out Ferry Swan in the Swedish championship, and a lot of people were quite surprised by that. But then he continued to maintain that status as being a very, very strong competitor.
And such
he does struggle, though, under the pressure of these events. So hopefully his headspace has improved a little bit.
And hey, coming out,
guys, one of our favorites, Koen Martens. I mean,
what a character.
You could call him almost the smiling Buddha. You can almost always see a grin on his face. He's always in the mix.
But great competitor. A nice character.
Such a nice guy, yeah, absolutely. His family is with him a lot these last few times as well. It's nice to see them all joining him here as well, yeah.
Oh,
Oliver Reinhardt from Switzerland. He was in studio with us yesterday, and we're wishing him the best of luck. Yeah. He actually came out of the rookie ranks to compete in the trophy last year in Vienna, cut his hand quite badly, and wasn't able to continue, and we're wishing him the best of luck here in this European trophy.
I thought he would be able to compete for years, to be honest, because it looked really bad, but these guys are nuts. Talking about guys who are nuts, Red McNall from the Netherlands. You just gotta love him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that this was a breakout season for Redmer, but he had a fantastic showing in Rotterdam at the World Trophy, and he ended up in 4th place in the overall standings there, but it was a huge boost for him, and confidence is a big deal here, and Redmer Knoll is one of those guys that just needs to take that one last inch of a step to get there and be on the top of the podium. Speaking of guys,
out. Third fastest in the time trials. Yesterday's winner of the National Pro Championship, Michal Dubicki from Poland. Definitely a guy to watch. He loves this format, and he is so good in this.
And he's improved at this format from year to year as well, and he's got his fan base here. So you know that Michal is going to be working hard to try and get to the top of the podium here today.
European Trophy winner 2019, European Trophy winner 2021. So he's a man to watch, just like this youngster. But is he still a youngster, Ferry Swan from Sweden?
He's now what you would call a grizzled veteran. Not quite, but I mean, Ferry Swan came out of the rookie ranks. He joined the pros. He's so fit. He's one of the most fit athletes, and he's a guy that a lot of the other athletes look to for their fitness program and how Ferry Swan stays fit and ready to go. And of course,
look at this man.
This young man, he just left the rookie ranks officially this year after the World Trophy in Rotterdam, where he won the World Rookie World Championship. Excuse me. Yesterday, he got 3rd place at the pro event, his first pro individual event. The kid is an unbelievable talent, and he's got the fastest time today in the time trials, and everybody's going to be keeping a close eye on Szymon Grönwald.
Yeah, he is the youngster to watch.
Now, right now, they're unrolling a banner for one of the absolute legends in timber sport, New Zealand's Jason Wynyard. He's struggling at home with a bit of a disease, and we are crossing our fingers or pressing our thumbs, as they say in German. And Jason, keep on fighting. The entire Timber Sports family and all the fans are with you. Stay positive and keep pushing in the right way.
Very nice gesture. And of course, all of us with him in our minds.
Yes.
Not only today, but of course.
In our hearts, in our thoughts, in our prayers as well.
Big shout out to Jason.
And sometimes those positive vibes can really have a huge effect on you know, helping somebody through a tough situation. So we give all of our positive vibes out to Jason Wynyard in New Zealand.
Absolutely.
And wish him all the best on his recovery.
So this format is very special.
Yes.
In the beginning, you said, oh, you know, you're so happy to be here to be able to, you know, commentate on this because you just love it. What makes it so special for you?
Well, it's an action-packed format. It's a knockout format. You don't have to think too much as an audience member or a fan. Yeah,
yes.
exactly. That's why I like it. You don't have to think
here.
too much. But it's so quick. So the guys are starting on the stock saw. Then they run to the next discipline, underhand chop. Then they run back to the single buck. And then they run again forward to the standing block chop. This all happens inside of one heat. And the winner of the heat goes on to the next round. So this is, I mean, it's just fast-paced. It's quick.
It's a bit of tactics also.
Sometimes it can be hairy. There's opportunities for the guys to come back from a little bit of a deficit. So there's lots going on.
Yeah,
it's fun.
And if you want a proper explanation, just from us guys, please watch the next clip.
The STIHL Timber Sports Trophy Competition. In the trophy format, athletes have to complete 4 disciplines back-to-back. After the start, they need to cut a complete disc with the stock saw within a 10-centimeter area. From there, the athletes have to complete the underhand chop as quickly as possible. Only after they split the block can they return to the starting point, where this time the single buck is waiting for them to cut one complete cookie. In the final discipline, the athletes have to complete the standing block chop in order to achieve the best possible overall time. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will be eliminated. All participants must first demonstrate their skills in the time trial. The better the athletes perform in the time trial, the easier their first elimination round will be. The athletes now continue to compete in a knockout system through the quarterfinals and semifinals. The losers of the semifinals will fight for the last podium spot in the small final. After that, the 2 winners of the semifinals will compete one more time to see who takes the title.
So the idea was to have 18 athletes compete in the time trials to make it to the last 16, but we only had 17. Why?
Well, one of our German athletes is awaiting his first child back at home. So unfortunately, he won't be here to join us. As they say, Nachwuchs in Germany is on its way. So, of course...
Danny Martin, all the best from us here.
We wish Danny the best and to a healthy and happy young life coming in to join us and join the STIHL Timber Sports family. But in the meantime, we have the round of 16, and there you could see the heat lineups as they go. Szymon Grönwald will be going up against Andrea Rossi.
Because Szymon was the fastest and Rossi the slowest.
So they mix it up. So fastest goes against slowest. And you can see the personal best there. Now, because this is Szymon's very first trophy, he'll have a personal best of his fastest time from yesterday as the fastest time of the day as well. And I mean, this kid just continues to impress here. Unbelievable talent.
Yeah, this kid is amazing, Simon Grunwald. I mean, we've talked about him a lot while he was competing with the rookies, and we expected him to do well with the big boys, but nobody expected him to do that well. You know, to get a bronze at the national championships, his first big pro competition. And now, I mean, taking a look at the time trials, he was the fastest, beating people like Ferry Swan, who's an amazing competitor in this format, and of course, Michal Dubitsky, his big mentor. So that is absolutely fantastic.
Gentlemen, warm up your swords.
So here's where you get the opportunity, the first heat, and again, Simon, you know, by virtue of his own being too good, has to start the show off for everybody, and the pressure will be on for the young man to see if he can get through ahead of Andrea Rossi, who is an experienced competitor here. Let's see how he does. Here we go. First heat of the day coming up.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by Simon as he gets himself a good cut, and he is through pretty fast, heading over to the underhand chop. Both of these guys dead even with each other. Andrea Rossi in the blue, Simon Grunwald in the red, getting some big chips off of that block there. Simon moving over to the other side of his block, about 3 strokes ahead, 4 strokes now, 5 strokes ahead of Andrea Rossi. Rossi's in a little bit of trouble here on the underhand chop as Grunwald has just made short work of that block and moves over to the single buck. Now, he had a lot of trouble in the single buck yesterday in the individual discipline. Hopefully he has clarified what happened there and keeps it nice and clean today, and it looks good for him, as he's got a bit of a slow run at the bottom of that, places that saw down, and moves over to the standing block chop. He's super solid in this discipline, and I would not be surprised if we see Simon Grunwald participating with the Polish team at the World Championships in November.
Listen to the crowd.
Yeah, and they love it. They've got one of their own on stage who is just showing and proving here as he is getting close to getting through that block. A little bit of a sticky axe there as Andrea Rossi is doing his best to try and catch up with Grunwald, but it's not going to happen. And Simon Grunwald will go to the next round with a decisive win here on stage. Andrea Rossi still working on the second side of his block now. And the Italian looking clearly and visibly tired as he gets through there. Normally we see this man with a really, really good level of fitness, but this has definitely been a long day for him as he fights his way and gets that block done in 1:33.40. And he didn't want that block to stay on stage. He put that thing on the floor down below.
Viciously.
Nice. Viciously.
How much tactics do you think are in the head of Simon when he knows he's going to win this duel, and then maybe takes, you know, off a bit of the speed, or do you think he just goes 100% till the end?
I think probably the tactics game for sure. Simon is an experienced athlete, definitely from the rookie ranks, but the tactics game for him, it's less important at this point than it is about just getting the job done as quickly as possible, because he knows he's going up against some very, very top-notch competitors here. So it's just about getting that job done as quickly as possible. Tactically speaking, yeah, you know, you can see if you're on the underhand chop, you move to the other side, and you can see a guy like Andrea Rossi is a little bit behind. Perhaps you slow down your axe a bit, you save a little bit of that energy. But to be honest with you, Simon will know that Andrea Rossi is a competitor. He's not going to give up, so he is going to push it all the way to the end. The only place where I think maybe he might slow it down a little bit is on that standing block chop. If he knows that Andrea Rossi isn't even close to him as he comes around to the other side, then perhaps he might slow it down and try and preserve a little bit of power. But I don't think that's going through his mind right now, to be
because he was only a second slower than in the time trials, even though he had this lead. And I think at this moment that we're seeing now in the slow-mo, he must have known that he's not going to lose this.
Yeah, but you know, you can't get too ahead of yourself in these situations. You know, perhaps you go around to the other side of the block a bit too early. You didn't go deep enough on the first side. You didn't cut it open enough. There's a lot of things that can happen. And we have seen in the past where guys have gone over to the other side of their standing block chop and run into a knot that's hidden inside the block, and they've struggled to get through. And the other competitor, who was 5 or 6 strokes behind, comes through to win it. So, you know, you can't take anything for granted. And if you know you've got a block, and it seemed like that Simon was pretty confident with that situation, but he just wanted to get through it and get it done. So yeah, he was.
And he did.
He was about a second slower than his time trial. But that's something I think that you're going to see a lot in these first few heats. The time trial speeds are going to be faster than what you're seeing in these heat speeds, generally.
And that brings us to heat number 2. Another interesting one. Matthias Klima against Pierre Puy-Barré.
Pierre has the national record of 1:10.42 for France. Matthias Klima, 1:12.12. That's a respectable time.
Very respectable.
But like I said, Matthias is still ripening as an athlete here. In particular with this format, he needs to make sure that his fitness level is on point. We've seen Matthias training as well in the rookie academy when he was still a rookie. So he's very adept at all of these individual disciplines. Where he's strong is on the underhand and the standing block chop. He's definitely a chopper. Matthias tends to struggle a little bit with this particular discipline here, the single buck, and that's a discipline where Pierre Puy-Barré is very, very strong. He's a big man, first of all. He's nearly 2 meters tall, 196, I believe, and he can use that to his advantage along with his experience and his strength. He knows exactly what needs to happen with that single buck.
Okay, gentlemen. Warm up your swords.
The one determining factor here that is going to balance these two guys out is this one, and that is the stock saw. Both of them are very good with the stock saw. Matthias, excuse me, is a very good stock sawyer. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he had the national record for the rookies in stock saw
to
for
your
a short
timber.
period of time.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oops. Now, I think I might have seen a mistake by Matthias there. He had a hand down before he went to that saw. I might be mistaken, but I hope not. But we'll find out at the end. And here we can see both of them getting into it. Now, Matthias, you can see the frequency of his drivers is much quicker than with Pierre Puy-Barré.
Yeah,
but
look at
Puy-Barré just knocked our camera out of position on stage there. So you can see the big chips that are flying, and Matthias is already onto the other side of his block. Pierre Puy-Barré about 4 strokes behind Matthias. And like I said, Matthias is a very solid chopper here as he gets through the block, moves over to the single buck. Now here's where he needs to take care and get that saw moving and keep the flow going. This is an opportunity where Pierre Puy-Barré may well catch up, and you can see Puy-Barré right away getting into those beautiful long strokes.
Holy moly.
And he's already caught up to Matthias, and they're both going to drop those cookies nearly at the same time. Yep, pretty close as Puy-Barré moves over. And it's gotten close now between these two guys. Matthias with the lead after the underhand. But Puy-Barré has caught up in that single buck. And now Matthias Klima under pressure moves over to the other. Yeah, exactly. It might have been too early. So we will see as Puy-Barré moves over to the other side. Now his power drivers are going to come into play. Does Matthias have it?
Oh, this is going to be so close.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Matthias taking out the Frenchman. Matthias Klima advances to the next round.
We have
for the first time
surprise.
in a long time, Puy-Barré has been eliminated from competition in the round of 16. Unfortunate for the big Frenchman and the French national champion, but
let's wait for the judges.
Yeah, the judges. This is going to be the big call here. If Matthias had both hands on the log at the start, that's the big question. Now, I might have just misseen something here, and I hope so, certainly, but we will see.
Wow.
And the winner is Matthias Klima.
Okay, so it looks like we have a fair cut there. I might have missed something, and hopefully we can see that in the slow motion replay.
He's going to be so happy with that.
Yeah, that's a great run by Matthias Klima. Nice to see him moving to the next round against a very strong competitor in Pierre Puy-Barré.
Yeah, he just beat the fresh national pro champ, you know?
Yeah, and look at the position that Matthias got. He keeps his body position solid. He has a very deep spot. Even though the cut was quicker by Puy-Barré, Matthias took the lead in this heat on the underhand chop, and he was quick. And that's by virtue of the frequency of his drivers. For every single driver that Puy-Barré took, Matthias was putting in about 2 to 2.5 drivers on that first side at the very least. Here, they got a little bit more in sync on the second side. And here, Puy-Barré, he had a fantastic cut, and you could see he's so good with that single buck in hand. He uses the entire saw efficiently. Matthias was struggling to get through the bottom half of that block. It was binding on his saw a little bit, but he got there just slightly ahead of Puy-Barré and moved over to the standing block chop.
His chopping
but it
was
wasn't much. And Puy-Barré got started more or less 1.5 drivers behind Matthias.
Great pictures there.
Yeah, it was a beautiful heat, though, between those two guys. It was exciting, and this
The
is
crowd
why I
was
love
loving
this
it.
format, and the crowd was loving it as well. They didn't care that it was a Frenchman and a Czech on the stage. They were screaming and yelling for these guys. And
Au contraire, monsieur.
yeah,
They
exactly.
really enjoyed it.
And that final driver from Matthias Kleemann, look at
yeah.
that. The smile and that realization that he's going to the next round. And look at that cheeky little,
I'm
that
playing
cheeky
with the
little
big
angle.
boys now.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a troublesome situation. I mean, it's a moot point for Pierre Puy-Barré at that point, but he wants to have that time at the very least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But you know, sometimes you get a thread of wood holding onto that block, and you just can't get it off. It's terrible.
It's another really interesting heat coming up now. Red McNall against Glenn Pendleton.
Yeah.
Two pretty similar shopping characters, if you ask me.
Yeah, and timing-wise, tail of the tape has them both really well matched up. However, Redmer Knoll had some fantastic runs at the event in Rotterdam at the World Trophy. And he came so close to being third place on the podium.
I mean, to
he
make
had
it to the
huge,
semi-finals
yeah, he had
in
a
a World
huge
Trophy
jump
performance.
he had a
Unbelievable.
huge jump in his confidence this year, which is fantastic because he is such a great athlete. He's such a great timber sports athlete. And I mean, you know, it's just sometimes those little confidence boosts that make a difference and change the way that you view how you're cutting and sawing. That's not taking anything away from that man right there, Glenn Pendleton from Great Britain. You know, we've seen that he has got the skills to pay the bills, for lack of a better word. He absolutely knows what needs to be done out there, and he can do it.
And he's such a nice, modest character, you know.
Yeah,
he keeps working on himself.
He doesn't say
stays
much,
focused.
but he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. So we're going to see good things from Glenn Pendleton in the next couple of years. I promise you that.
Yeah, I
Okay,
totally
gentlemen,
agree.
warm up your swords. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, great
Very
reaction.
nice start. Redmer with a great
Brilliant.
starting cut there. Glenn's good with that saw, though. I'll tell you, you know, he's going to keep up with Redmer on this one. Underhand chop now is solid for both of these guys. Pendleton is great with an axe in hand. Usually he is the backup, or not the backup, but the man that does the standing block chop in the team events, and he's very, very solid. Redmer Knoll second side now as he's working to get himself back over to that single buck where he can cut cleanly and well. He's got through, and now he's got the advantage heading over to single buck. Pendleton's got to get through there. He cannot step down before that is split, and that caused him a bit of a problem. Now he's got to get that saw started, and I'll tell you from experience,
Redmer,
those
look at
saws are difficult things to get moving in competition format here. Redmer with a nice clean cut through as he
That's very
steps
impressive
over
so far.
to the standing block chop, and he's got himself a clean lead at the moment. Pendleton now moving over as pieces are flying off of Redmer Knoll's block. Pendleton, this is his discipline. This is an opportunity if he can have a nice clean cut to catch up with Knoll, but Knoll is so far ahead, moving over to the other side of his block now and getting the big chips flying. Pendleton moving over now. Could he catch up with Knoll? It's not going to happen. Redmer Knoll with a 116 and change. Pretty close to 117. Glenn Pendleton almost there on the second side. Didn't go too deep on the first side. Two more drivers should do it for the Brit. Now maybe three here. Come on. And he's done it in
nice
132.65. But that's going to be an elimination for Glenn Pendleton, unfortunately, as Redmer Knoll will move to the second round here and the quarterfinals.
And the winner is Redmer Knoll.
All right, Redmer continues to keep that flow going. So fourth fastest time today in the time trials, and he continues to show the skills that he is capable of doing good things in this format as we take a look back at the slow-mo. You can see here both these guys pretty evenly matched up on the stock saw, quite honestly. Knoll was quicker to get the saw in place and cutting, but Pendleton had a really nice clean cut through. It was actually a little bit faster He just took a little bit more time taking off the headphones or the ear protection. You can't throw that stuff down. It has to be placed down in a safe manner. And we've seen that in the past where guys have been disqualified for throwing their equipment down and not having it set down properly. And here you can see Pendleton really good on the underhand chop. Knoll got over to the other side of his block, a couple 3 strokes ahead of Pendleton, and then Pendleton almost had it through right about here. You could see he steps down, and then he has to step back up because he doesn't have a clean cut through, and then Redmer was already well into the cut as Pendleton started with his. And Glenn, very, very good in this discipline, but Redmer just had too much of a lead as he gets over to the standing block shot. Look at the pieces flying.
Great pictures from our cameraman.
Fantastic.
Oh, look at the crowd sitting in the sunshine.
That was a big sticky axe on that first driver on the second side for Glenn Pendleton as well. And you could see he was pretty tired at that point, took some time to pull it out. And Redmer, he's going to be pleased with that. Maybe not with the time, but the fact that he's going on to the second, or rather the quarterfinals. That's what counts here in this case. And that's a tiring day. That's a tiring day, you know? These guys are putting it all out there to try and get to the next set of heats, and there's a lot going on. Beautiful breeze blowing through now, so that is nice with the sunshine.
As we wait another crowd pleaser, Oliver Reinhardt.
Yes.
He always seems to have, I don't know, a great number of fans wherever we go, all over the world.
And there's a character in that face right there. You could see, you know, you could see that troublemaker deep in those eyes.
In the most positive way of
thinking. In the most positive way, absolutely. I agree with you.
Very lovable guy. So Oliver Reinhardt taking on Martin Kaliner. Switzerland versus the Czech Republic. That's our next heat. You can already see the Swiss flags that we've mentioned.
Yeah. And Ollie, the only Swiss competitor today. So a lot of pressure on his shoulders to represent Switzerland.
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy, to me it seems he never feels any pressure, does he?
No, he's got those broad shoulders. He's managing it pretty well. But he's also a guy that seems pretty relaxed about the situation altogether. You know, generally speaking, he goes into these events with a pretty positive attitude.
I think he goes into anything with a pretty positive attitude. Yeah. This guy's glass is always half full, no doubt about that.
Well, you know, when you know, you know. All right, Martin Kalina is ready.
Okay,
these guys will warm up their saws and get them running.
Warm up your saws.
The MS 661, oh yeah.
You can see those rubber pads. That's something that's been instituted in the last 5 years so that the saws don't dance away from the athletes before the start of the competition. So that was a nice bit of development.
3, 2, 1. Go!
So Martin Kalina is very strong in the stock saw, and you can see right away he's got himself a very clean cut, and we should see him heading over to that underhand chop fairly quickly. Now he saw Ollie was a bit slower, but Ollie was faster getting the transition done, and now you can see the two of them working hard on the underhand chop. Pretty evenly matched here at this point. Ollie Reinhardt switching over to the other side of his block now. Martin Kalina about 2 strokes behind, gets a big sticky axe there. Reinhardt getting some nice chips. He's got some material in the way, though, and you can see the speed at which he's cutting. He was training with Michal Dubitsky this week before the event, and you know that they've been working hard on that. Reinhardt's got to make sure that's definitely split. Now moving over to the single buck. Martin Kalina is very good on the single buck, but he's got to get there first. A couple 4 strokes to get there. And now you can see Ollie's got that sideways position, which is always so funny to me because I would figure he'd want to go from the other side. But no, he's cutting from the backside. I guess he just wants people to see his shining face as he's making the cuts. Now moving up to the underhand chop, or the standing block chop, excuse me. And
seems to be working for him, though.
Seems to be working for him. Hey, you know, it's whatever they say. If your hands go backwards on the axe, it works for you. Then run with it. So Ollie will switch to the other side now. Martin Kalina still working to get deep on that first side. Ollie Reinhardt with a good solid lead here. And you can see right away the times for both of these guys aren't particularly fast. But again, in this particular moment, it doesn't matter. It just has to be first. And that's what Ollie Reinhardt is in this heat.
He's through to the last
going to go to the quarterfinal. Nicely done. Martin Kalina Pushing hard, trying to get through that second side. You can see he's got a couple of off cuts there on that first side. So, you know, didn't really get those clean lines that he wanted to, that he marked up. Still really pushing hard, and we may have a problem for him on this second side because he's coming close to the, there it is. He just got to the time limit exceeded at DQ at 2 minutes. So that is unfortunate for Martin Kalina. And it looks like there was a knot in his block there. You can see that little dark spot right there. And that is just nightmarish for these guys. All right, there's a lot of discussion going on there, so I'm wondering if something else might have happened here. And the one thing that I think may well be is a DQ for Ollie. I'm not 100% sure yet because I did see that his axe after the underhand chop wasn't secured in the block. He had to go and pick it up off the ground. So let's see what happens here.
So this is where a CCC comes into game.
Okay, unfortunately, we have a disqualification for the underhand axe not secured in the block. We also have a disqualification for exceeding the time limit. However, Kalina goes through based on his stock saw time, the tie break.
That's interesting.
Interesting. So Martin Kalina will advance to the quarterfinal by virtue of his stock saw time. Ollie Reinhardt will be disqualified after having a really amazing run here because his axe didn't get secured into that safety block there. And so the reason is that it's one of those things, you know, you can't just leave your tools lying around. So that's a bit of an unfortunate situation. So let's see what happened here. So this is the start, the cut here.
So Martin was faster in the stock, so even though Ollie's transition was better.
There you go.
Oh yeah, just.
So the transition for Ollie, he turned off the machine and then they were pretty much tied as they came to this point here and started hitting on the underhand chop. Now, I think the key point here was that Ollie, after he switched to the other side and cut through his block, didn't secure his axe properly in that piece of wood that's set on the ground there. So watch what happens. So he did secure the axe, but it looked like it might have fallen out. So maybe it wasn't that, what I thought it was.
But to be frank, that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. But and you can see here, maybe we get a picture of that position of Ollie's axe. It doesn't look like we're going to get to see it, but I mean, he had such a good run here, and that's just a bit of bad luck for Ollie. But you know, these guys have to really be vigilant about what they're doing with their tools on stage. Do we get another overview here? No, we can't see the position of Oliver's second axe. We get an open shot. Do we get an open shot? No, we don't, unfortunately.
Oh, look at the crowd.
And the Swiss fans are into it completely. But yeah, it was the stock saw that did it for Martin Kalina, even though he had a timed out DQ. So yeah, good to be lucky to be good, and Martin Kalina will advance to the quarterfinal there. Unfortunate for Ollie Reinhardt to be DQ'd in such a way, but
very sorry for him, to be honest.
I really feel bad for him as we get ready for our next heat here.
Ferry Swan from Sweden taking on Alessandro Ciapponi.
Alessandro was in Great Britain for the British Championship. He was there competing as a guest as well, and had some fun with him. Or no, he was just there supporting his girlfriend Marta, who was competing in the women's competition there, but had some fun with him nevertheless, and had a few good chats with both of them. Good folks, Marta and Ciapponi. Ferry Swan setting his saw in position. Last check from Bart Janssen. Alessandro cleaning out that space. Got to be careful you don't cut on that clean section here. And he feels confident with positioning. He'll get the MS661 in position and be ready to go. Now, question is, which of these two athletes will be moving on to the quarterfinals?
Warm up your swords.
So Ferry Swan's one of those guys that's got a love-hate relationship with the motor saw, whereas Alessandro Ciapponi is very, very adept with the saw in hand.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, it was a good start by Ferry. He's clearly been working on the jumps for the stock saw. Nice clean cut by Chiapponi as both of them head over to the underhand chop, tied more or less. And you can see the frequency of those drivers from Ferry Swan is quick. Chiapponi, good accurate hits though for him though. Look at those sidelines. Very, very nice. Swan moving over to the other side of his block already. Chiapponi's got to do some work to catch up as he gets a big sticky axe on his first driver on the second side. Chiapponi in blue, Swan in yellow. Don't be fooled by those lines there as the
and to me, he's a perfect athlete.
He's a fantastic athlete. I mean, he is so fit, and the Swede moves over to the single buck where he's very, very strong. Look at that.
Second best time in the time trials, by the way.
Frequency of that.
Wow. He's going strong.
Yeah, he's going strong. He's quick with the saw there, and now moves to the standing block chop. The chips are flying as Chiapponi doing his best to try and catch up to Ferry Swan, but it looks like it might be a moot point unless Ferry runs into like a massive knot in that block. Chiapponi moving on to his standing block now, and Ferry Swan is on the second side of his, and he should be through fairly quickly here. Remember, 2-minute time limit, but I don't think either of these guys are going to have to worry about that, as Ferry Swan will have 3 or 4 more drivers to get through his block. Big sticky axe, and he sees that Chiapponi is a little bit slow, takes his time to make sure that final driver is clean, and he doesn't have to do any extra work that's not needed.
And let's go back to the time that Shimon Grönwald had. 1 minute and 10 seconds 35.
Still the fastest time of the day here, even in the competition. Yeah. There we go. Alessandro Chiapponi drops it at 1:44.67. Again, you know, the guys want to have fast times, but it really is about getting there first here in this particular format, and Ferry Swan will be seeing him in the quarterfinal.
Well done, and he's been, I mean, he loves the format, but he's been unlucky in the last few competitions, so he really wants to do well today, I'm sure.
Yeah, for Ferry, it's been a little bit of a string of bad luck, a couple of DQs, a couple of naughty blocks, but, you know, those are things that every athlete has to deal with, and you can see here, this is a really nice, clean start by both these guys. Ferry was very quick with the pickup and placement of his saw. His alignment was bang on. Chiapponi going for the thin to win cut there, which is great, but in this case, it's better to go for a thicker cookie so you have less material binding on the single buck.
I like that Ferry put his saw on the cookie. That's a new one.
I don't know if it was on purpose, but...
time saver.
Time saver, yeah. You can see those are nice, accurate cuts from Chiapponi. Ferry Swan on that second side, getting some nice big cuts in there as well. Big chips flying off of Ferry. That's the thing you want to have, you know, and how those pieces chip out or slab out is also a virtue of what axe these guys are using. You know, they've got different cuts on there. Banana, wedge, chisel. There's all sorts of different axes that these guys will test beforehand to see which one's cutting the wood best. Chiapponi was very, very late to the single buck here, but got nice flow going. When the saw was moving, he did a great job. He did tip to knuckles, and you could see there using the entire length of the saw, but he was still cutting as Ferry Swan was moving over to the second side and started on his second side when Chiapponi was working the first side of his standing block chop. So really, there was no chance for Alessandro. Once Ferry Swan gets his rhythm going, it's tough to keep up with the young man from Sweden.
Look at that last piece.
Oh, yeah.
Saying goodbye to the stage. Massive blow at the end.
Yeah, Chiapponi, I mean, you know, for Alessandro, he was just a hair short on his underhand. I think they were pretty well evenly matched up on single buck had they started at more or less the same time, and on the standing block as well. It was really just the underhand chop that was a problem for Alessandro. That was the only thing that held him back a bit.
And now talk about this heat. Emil Hansen, the reigning champion, against Alexandre Meurice.
Yeah, Emil, again, he's a guy who has definitely all the skills necessary to become a world champion in this format as well as in the individual format, but every once in a while, he just has a bit of an implosion, you know, something happens where it's just not working right for him. You know, there's a number of things that that happened. But you know what? His dad is a legend in the sport, Hans-Ove Hansen, and you know that he is doing everything he can to help his son along, to help his development, not only physically but also mentally, because he knows exactly what it takes to be there on top of the podium. Alexandre Maurice has come into his own in the last few years, particularly in this format. He's, as I said, he's a bit of a diminutive character, but he's got plenty of power, plenty of endurance, and the skills are definitely there as he makes a quick marker with that grease pen to make sure that he knows where he wants to have that stock saw set.
Rozgrzewka za nami, patrzcie Państwo, ręce na płodzie. Wymagana sylwetka.
Athletes ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Emil Hansen with a very nice start there, slightly faster than Alexander Maurice. Alexander Maurice with a very clean cut, though, as he is first out of the blocks over to the underhand chop. And now he really needs to work hard on this underhand against Emil Hansen, because Emil Hansen is fantastic with the axe in hand here in this discipline. A little bit of a skippy hit there for Alex as he moves over to the other side. Emil Hansen on the other side now as well. These guys are really evenly matched here on the underhand chop. Is it going to be Hansen going through first? He's got a wiggly-waggly one there, but Maurice is also right there with him. Hansen's got it. A few more drivers for Maurice. Does he have a clean cut through there? That's the big question for Alexander. And now on to the single buck. Emil Hansen, great job on the single buck, and you know his dad's been giving him a lot of pointers. Hans-Ove was always great with the single buck. Alexander Maurice not that far behind. He's got time now and he can catch up, and he's got to really work on this standing block chop. Maurice is, however, a very good standing block chopper, so let's see as Hansen moves over to the other side. He is well in control of this heat here. Maurice going deep on the first side, chipping out nicely, but I think Hansen's got this one locked down by the looks of it. No knots in his wood. He needs to stay calm, and one driver more will do it for Emil Hansen in 1:20.29, and he will be moving on to the quarterfinals, barring any major problems from our competition control center. But I didn't see anything untoward there in these heats, as Maurice is going to finally drop it with aplomb with a 1:35.50.
And one thing's for sure, all of these athletes enjoying themselves here. Brilliant crowd, brilliant vibe.
Transmisyjnym z wozem sędziowskim.
Okay, and the winner is Emil Hansen.
Wielkie brawa. Proszę Państwa, ja Was też poproszę o takie sympatyczne powitanie mojego serdecznego kolegi Mateusza Chińskowskiego, dwukrotnego indywidualnego.
This will be yours.
Now you can see here in the slow-mos, Alex was pretty close on the first side with Emil. I believe Emil was first over to the other side, and Alex wasn't that far behind him. On that second side, though, Alexander Maurice just didn't quite have the power to get through there, and Emil was doing a great job cutting through. It was about 5 or 6 drivers more for Alex to get over to the single buck in here. I mean, Alex was doing a great job, but his long, slow strokes just weren't quite there enough for Emil, and Emil was easily over to the standing block chop. And once you get this man on standing block chop, I mean, there's really no stopping him. He's so solid there.
Some beautiful pictures we're getting to see here from stage. And Emil Hansen with a fine job against Alexandre Maurice, who's also very much enjoying himself here on stage. And now I've sent out Troy Mannering to call in Spike Milton, our Global Sports Director, because I'm still not quite sure what happened to Olli Reinhardt. Why was he disqualified?
Well, unfortunately, Ollie didn't secure his axe in the stand,
So when he came off the underhand, from what I can gather, you know, the axe wasn't secured strongly enough.
So hopefully we're going to
There
get
we
that. Oh, that's when it dropped out. Okay, because we saw him put it into the wood, but obviously not well enough.
Not solid enough, and you know, it's all about safety. And unfortunately, I mean, he'd be absolutely mortified by that. The guy's trained really hard. You know, he's at that age group. But, you know, his time will come again for sure.
But that's the rules, and safety first, as you said. So that's another one we have to take home and just make better the next time.
Oh yeah, he'll really make sure he'll put it in really firm next time. And you know, fair play to Martin Kalima. I mean, he went through on the skin of his teeth. I mean, that is the rules. Over to the stock saw. Fastest man through. There we go.
So now we know why, Ollie. We feel for you. Next time, hopefully, things are going to turn out better. But thanks so much, Spike, for explaining how this worked and why, you know, we had to disqualify Ollie. Sorry about that.
Absolutely welcome. Enjoy the contest.
Thank you very much. So back to the next heat, and hopefully Troy Mannering will return, even though I sent him out.
I am back. I'll be back.
Oh, and you return and the crowd goes wild.
Yes,
Maybe
of
not
course.
just because of you, but also because of Michal Dubicki, who's taking on Marcel Steinkemper in this next heat.
So
Dubicki's second fastest time in the time trial.
Second fastest time, and you can see tail of the tape. Definitely the advantage goes to the pole. And as we've seen in the past couple, 3 years, Michal has been on a tear. Marcel Steinkemper has made improvements every step of the way, though, and you can see the incredible skill that this young man has, as he also is not that far out of the rookies. This was a couple of years ago that he stepped up to the pro level, and now representing Germany here in our trophy format. So looking forward to seeing both of these guys go at it. And as we say in ice hockey, sometimes you play up when you know you're playing a team that has a little bit more experience or skill. Could that be a situation here for Marcel Steinkemper? I certainly hope so, because I would love to see this upset. Not because I want to see Michal Dubicki go out or anything like that, because I would love to see Marcel Steinkemper make that one confident step into the next round, and I think that would be a huge thing for him.
Be a huge step, because to me, Michal Dubicki is one of the best in the world in this format. He's proven so a number of times, second at the World Trophy. This year, of course, he won the European Trophy in 2019 and 2021. I mean, he was fourth at the World Trophy in 2022. And I feel that 2023 has been quite a year for him.
It has been. He's had his ups and downs, but he's been more or less stable and consistent throughout the entire season in all of the various events and formats that he's been competing in. So, I mean, you know, he's definitely one of the favorites here today. There's no doubt about it.
And he's wearing a GoPro on his chest. You know?
Yeah, we're going to get those images later on, I hope.
Maybe he's just filming the whole thing, but I could imagine him being such a perfectionist, trying to maybe get one or two ideas of what to make better the next time.
Yeah, that's not the worst idea. I mean, we know that Ferry Swan travels with his mom quite often, and they film these events, and then they go back and they actually look at the film footage from the events to see where he can make improvements, and that's why he is such a good athlete.
And it's just about, you know,
ready.
minimum of different moves in just a few milliseconds, tenths of seconds that can make the big difference at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great start by Steinkemper, though. Dubicki, excuse me, right there. Steinkemper with a clean cut through as he moves over to the underhand block. And the two of them getting into it right away. Now here is where Dubicki is so strong in the red jersey. There's Steinkemper in the black, but he is right there with Dubicki. Dubicki moving over to the other side. Shortly here, he's on the other side now. And Marcel Steinkemper playing up, absolutely. He's right there with Dubicki on the second side of the block, getting in deep. Dubicki is so strong here in this discipline. Marcel Steinkemper making him work for every ounce, though. Steinkemper, a bit of a sticky block there. Will he get through in 2 or 3 more drivers? Oh, he's got himself a troublesome spot on the block, but he finally busted, and he goes through over to the single block as Dubicki is almost done with single block and will move over to the standing block chop, and the crowd is cheering for Dubicki. Steinkemper working hard to get through that single buck. He's almost at the bottom of his cut. Dubicki on the first side of his standing block chop. Steinkemper moving over to the standing now. Dubicki will move over to the other side fairly soon. Now, in fact, Steinkemper's got his work cut out for him. I don't think he's going to have a chance, though, at this point against Dubicki. But boy, He was so close along the first few drivers on that standing block chop, and Dubitsky does it to the roar of the crowd with 1:16.08. Steinkemper on the second side of his block now, trying to get through there to make sure that he has got that time locked in under 2 minutes here. That's really important. Big sticky axe. He's got a lot of power, but his cuts are nice and accurate there. And one more driver will do it for Steinkemper, and he's got himself a new personal best, 1:36.37. So that pressure from Dubitsky has helped Steinkemper improve, which is excellent. And now we want to see those improvements from event to event even more.
And the winner is Michal Dubicki.
Fair play there from the guys on stage. I like it. I like it a lot.
Great to see, yeah.
What a heat, though. That was great. That was super exciting heat between those two guys. Steinkemper really made Dubitsky work for it. Right off the hop here, Steinkemper with a nice cut on the stock saw. Interesting technique, though, keeping the engine or the motor block in more or less the same position and just working the axe, or the bar of the saw through. And you can see here on the underhand chop, Dubitsky is so strong and so fast and so accurate, but Steinkemper was right there with him every stroke of the way, and it was only on that second, you could see a knot right there, and that might have gone all the way through to the other side as Steinkemper was struggling on, I think it was the last 3 or 4 drivers. They were right on point with each other. Here Dubitsky goes through, and Steinkemper has 3 or 4 more hits to get through his block here, and then finally does it. But Dubitsky was already on the single bucket halfway through as Marcel moves over to the 2-meter-long single Sawyer saw there.
And that's one thing you do not want to have is Michal Dubitsky get into the next discipline before you.
Especially not the standing block shot.
Yeah, running after this guy is
but I'll tell you
the toughest things that can happen to you.
I'll tell you what, in the chopping disciplines, Marcel definitely can hang with Dubitsky any day of the week, that's for sure. And in the stock saw, that's clear, it's no problem. Both of these guys are pretty evenly matched up. The difference maker here was, I think, the wood for Steinkemper on the second side of the underhand chop and on his single saw. He needs to work on that single saw a little bit. I mean, he's always doing demos and stuff at the various German events with the single saw, so he has the advantage of having it in the hand on a regular basis. But, you know, it's just the one area where he could be a little bit faster. But otherwise, that was a fantastic heat.
So final heat in this round of 16.
Both guys holding their national records
against
respectively.
Armin Kugler, yes, and Koen Martens, of course, second in last year's European trophy, so he knows how to play this game.
Armin Kugler, why so serious? Yeah, but these guys, you know, they know it's all about the competition here. So last heat in this round of 16, and then we will line up our stage and our athletes for the quarterfinals.
Armin Kugler's time in the time trial, 1:29.96. Koen Martens, 1:16.91. So regarding this, you would have to say that last year's silver medalist is the favorite, but Armin Kugler in those first rounds is always the one you have to be scared of, because sometimes...
Armin the Cat Kugler, you know, he's got 9 lives. The guy is crazy. He's good.
Okay, gentlemen.
Sometimes you just you got to shake your head at the things that he can do out there.
And if he gets all 4 disciplines together, anything is possible with Armin Kugler.
Absolutely. It's very true.
Doesn't always work out for him, but if it does, he's a force to be reckoned with.
He's also a very analytical competitor.
Go!
Really nice start by Koen Martens. He was definitely faster on the block, and he's got himself a great clean cut there. Kugler well behind after that. Oh, and he threw down those headphones. as he gets over to the underhand chop now, battling hard to try and catch up with Koen Martens. Armin's very strong here, so if he can get some nice clean cuts, Koen Martens on the second side, he's catching up with him now. And Koen Martens, it's about his fitness level here at this point against
speeding it up, yeah.
Armin Kugler. And Kugler, like I was saying, you know, on that first side, Kugler had those big drivers and he picked up the pace on the second side. Now moving over to the single buck, here's an opportunity for Kugler to do some damage to Koen Martens. And Kugler's very, very good with the single saw.
Yeah,
Koen Martens close to the bottom of it, but Kugler's not that far behind as they're doing a good job to catch up. And now moving over to the standing block chop, Kugler and Martens very close to each other now. Martens, Kugler, Martens, it could be close one. Who's going to move over to the other side first? I think it's going to be Koen Martens, yes. But Kugler's not that far behind. One driver more, and he's on to the other side, so it could be tight. Who's got the power? Who's got the endurance on the second side here? Could Kugler have the comeback of the day, or is it going to be Koen Martens getting this one? It's going to be close here, but it's going to be Koen Martens! 1:18.47, and he's got this one. Oh, it looked like it was going to be close with Kugler just about 4 strokes off pace there as he's got the block down. Disappointment for Armin Kugler from Austria, but Koen Martens from Belgium moves on to the quarterfinal. What an effort by Armin Kugler, though, eh?
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Ja Państwu wspominałem, że ta piła 2-metrowej długości, tak 10-gramowej wagi jest idealnie wycinana przez laser. Teraz jeszcze popatrzmy na werdykt.
Okay, the winner is Koen Martens.
You can see Koen Martens breathing heavy there. He knew he had Armin Kugler breathing down his neck, so he had to pick up the pace on that standing block chop significantly to make sure that the big Austrian didn't catch up and beat him when he had led the whole way through. Let's take a look back at the highlights here. Yeah, Koen was so much quicker on that stock saw. And I mean, for me, the difference in the time between the stock saw is more or less those 4 strokes for Armin Kugler at the end of the heat on the standing block.
He would have definitely been very close.
And look at this, Kugler putting in everything he's got on this first side of his block, and they both switch over to the other side pretty close to each other. Kugler was 1.5, 2 strokes behind Koen Martens on the second side.
But Koen Martens is such a great mover.
Yeah.
You know, he's so fast on the transitions.
Yeah, he's got great stability and balance.
He arrives and he already is in position. That's brilliant to see.
Yeah. And there, nice clean cut.
Look, he takes out, boom, and he hits it.
Yeah, Koen Martens. But Armin Kugler, I mean, he got over there 2 strokes behind
put a lot of
Koen Martens, and
no
he really started to put pressure on him. Beautiful final driver from Koen Martens, though. And that was the 4 strokes extra that Armin Kugler had to take to get that block off the top.
And look at Andrew Hall.
Keeping a close eye on everything, yeah.
You don't want to do a mistake, you know, under the eyes of Andrew Hall about Janssen. Taking good care of everything. So we know our quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Here's the graphic to see who's moving on.
So there we see Shimon Grunwald going up against Matthias Klima.
Redmer Knoll taking on Martin Kallina. Ferry Swan against Emil Hansen.
Oh, that's rough. One Swede's going to be eliminated no matter what.
But on the other hand, we have a Swede in the semi, so that's not too bad as well, as Mikael Dubitsky will take on Koen Martens in the 4th quarterfinal. That's another banger.
Yeah.
My word.
Mikael Dubitsky has taken on Koen Martens in the past, and the 2 of them have battled quite well against each other as we head to heat number 1.
Second
and a couple
and
of
third
the
in last
young guys out there.
trophy, yeah.
18-year-old Shimon Grunwald, who has been a phenomenal athlete the last couple of years as a rookie, has just shown that he definitely has the the chops to become one of the best in the world.
He's the kind of Carlos Alcaraz of tennis, is Szymon Grunwald of STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So much potential, getting ready for the big bang. I mean, this actually is his first pro competition. Well, yesterday was his first pro competition in the Nationals, taking home the bronze. Today he's got the European trophy, so...
I mean, if he keeps the pace, I mean, you know, he might be the guy that's battling against perhaps Michał Dubicki at the end of the day. It could be two Poles battling each other in Poland for the European trophy title. And he did get the national record yesterday in standing block. So, I mean, the guy's unbelievable.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start. Like I said before, Matthias Klima super solid with that saw. But hey, Szymon Grunwald also very good as they both head over to the underhand chop.
Unbelievable speed from both youngsters.
Yeah, amazing. And look at the pace by which Matthias Klima is hammering.
Wow.
And that is a bit of salad right there. That is a lot of salad on that block, but he doesn't care. He's over to the other side and fighting hard to try and get through that block ahead of Szymon Grunwald. He wants to get over to that single buck and make sure that he's got a bit of pace on Grunwald. And it's going to be Grunwald behind for the first time at the day. And now Matthias getting onto that single saw.
Are you
Same with Szymon Grunwald. Szymon looking very good, though. He's got those long strokes. He's actually going to do a good job, and he might actually beat him.
Yes.
It's possible, and it's done. And they both move over to the standing block chop. This is a close heat, and this is where Matthias is so strong. Szymon Grunwald also pretty solid here. Who's going to go over to the other side of their block first? Couldn't see the most exciting heat of the day. It's Matthias Klima onto the other side of his block first. Grunwald's in a bit of trouble here. He's got to really work on that second side if he wants to make that next round. Is it going to be Matthias Klima with a little bit more experience? It will be Matthias Klima taking out Szymon Grunwald.
How about that for an unbelievable surprise?
Wow. What a finish by Matthias Klima. Szymon Grunwald, unfortunately for the young man, he has been eliminated from competition in the quarterfinals today. What a great job, though, by him, and just absolutely fantastic axe work by Matthias Klima.
This was more or less his personal best that we've just seen.
Yeah.
112.28, his personal best ever is 112.12. So he's
close.
really taking himself to the limits. That's impressive.
Tail of the tape didn't really cover us today because the personal best time for Szymon is 104 and change. So, I mean, by virtue of that, he should have won this one, but he was under a lot of pressure here in this second round, or third round, actually, in the quarterfinals. Let's see. Matthias was just, I mean, he's so solid with that stock saw. It was a nice start by Szymon, though. You could see steady pace through the cut. Matthias is very good, though. And it was Matthias, I believe, that was just a hair behind. Yeah, just a hair. But on the underhand
his chopping
chop,
was amazing.
Yeah, you really saw. I mean, I looked at that first side. You could see it's just salad here. It's no accuracy whatsoever, but he doesn't care. He just wants to get through that block and onto the other side because he's been watching Szymon compete against the big boys and make a mess of their lives. And now he knows he's really got to do some damage against that 18-year-old kid, you know? Matthias been there before. He knows what it's all about. So he's had a couple of years experience as a pro now, or 1 year minimum. And now he gets over to the single saw. Now, clearly Matthias isn't as strong on the single saw as Szymon Grunwald is. And they both came down through the bottom of that cut pretty close to each other, but it was Szymon making the catch up there. And here on the standing block chop.
So good on the standing block chop yesterday.
Yeah, very good. He had the national record yesterday in this discipline, but Matthias Klima is usually the final hitter for the team competition in this discipline. So he's definitely the stronger of the two men in this case.
He can't believe it himself.
Standing block chop. Yeah, and I mean, he was pumped after that. You could see there was a bit of relief going through him that he made the semifinals. So that's a very, very good result for Matthias Klima. And I think that's actually his best result in trophy format so far.
to be honest. There's two athletes I would not want to compete against here, and one of them is Simon Grönwald. So a great job, you know, chapeau, Maciej Klima.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great performance, absolutely.
Yeah, the one weakness in Maciej's run is his single buck. That's the only thing that I could see there where, you know, that's an area where he needs to focus on. But you know, I'm not giving him any new news, you know. He knows this, and he'll definitely be working on that. But those are things that you have to take time with, and you have to use the time wisely to be able to train those particular tools. And also, folks, if you want to get involved in the conversation, hashtag STIHL TIMBERSPORTS or hashtag KissMyAxe. All right, quarterfinal coming up here.
Redmer Knoll from the Netherlands against Martin Kalina from the Czech Republic. Personal best 1:14.89, and the national record on the other side 1:12.22. So this could again be a very, very close race to make it to the semis.
Struggling a bit today, though. We saw that in the first heat against Olli Reinhardt, and it was just because he had a quicker stock saw and Olli was disqualified that he managed to get to this particular round. Otherwise, we might have seen Olli going up against Redmer here.
Would have loved to see that.
But Redmer is he's on a confidence high at the moment, and I have to give definite advantage to Redmer in this case. As long as he can keep that calmness and that confidence working for him, he should be able to take out
almost anybody.
Almost anybody, but Martin Kalina. And then, like I said, Martin, you know, he'll have taken that struggle and the DQ of the timeout or the exceeded time limit in that first heat in the round of 16, and he'll be thinking about that one and wanting to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, very nice start by Knoll. Wow, he was quick. Look at that saw go. Whoa, Nelly. That was crazy fast by Redmer Knoll as he got through that super quick and on to the underhand chop. Kalina right there with him.
Nice chopping on both sides.
Yeah. Redmer moving over to the other side of his block already. I look through our plastic windscreen here as Kalina now on his second side. Redmer Knoll with the advantage here. And Kalina again on the second side getting a little bit sticky. Redmer Knoll is through. He'll set that axe and move over to the single saw. That 2-meter long cross cut that everybody loves to call the misery whip will hopefully not provide any misery for Redmer Knoll as he's looking good here as more than halfway through the cut, and Kalina has started his cut. Redmer Knoll a little bit of a delay on the finish of that one as he moves over to the standing block chop. Now, does he hear that saw in the background and take a little bit less time and you know, maybe rest and hold back a little bit, or is he going to go full bore to try and get through that block as quickly as possible? You can see he's already tired. He needs to get that chip out of there, which he does. Moves over to the other side, but he didn't race around. He just kind of gingerly hopped around to the other side. So out of the corner of the eye, he knows that Kalina is working on that first side, and he'll try and save a little bit of juice for the next round as he's got to get that block off, and he's done it in 1:25.68. I think that time will go up a little bit.
Good enough.
Because of the extra little hit that he needed to do, but it's good enough to get him into the semi-final.
Kalina definitely going to make it within those 2 minutes.
Kalina's really struggling today, and you know, in this particular format, it's about the fitness of these guys. He needs to get it done in 7 seconds.
2 more strokes. Come on, buddy. Let's go.
No, he's not going to do it, unfortunately. That's a DQ timeout again. And I don't know what's happened with Kalina. His fitness level just isn't there this time around. And he's not showing the level of skill. And maybe it was the blade choice there. He's cutting with a banana blade, so maybe that was the wrong choice for him. Maybe he needed a wedge or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that case. These guys know what they need to use better than I do. But it was a fantastic first cut on the stock saw by Redmer. Look at this. Just like a hot knife through butter. Smart cut by Kalina, though, as he's got a nice fat cookie in that case. Redmer Knoll going for a little bit of a thinner one. You could see the amount of material that's left over there for what's remaining in his single saw cut, so that could bind on the saw a little bit more. So it was a good call by Kalina to make a fatter cookie, so he's got less material to bind on the saw through his single cut, but it came down to the standing block chop for both of these guys, and it was really fitness level and endurance for Kalina that was the problem. We're having trouble with our stage cameras today. They keep getting hit with blocks of wood.
That's actually some nice pictures. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. So here we see Redmer moving over to his single buck now. Kalina getting through and onto his single buck. There was just the smallest of hookups by Kalina at the start, but then he got that saw moving and he kept the flow going pretty well. But by that point, Redmer was already on to his standing block chop and working his way through there. Nice big chips coming off. This last chip here was just waiting to come out until he moved over to the other side of his block. And Kalina just struggling. Yeah, I'm positive. Kalina's skills are definitely there. I'm positive it was about his fitness level at this point. There's nothing more that could be a reason behind that. I mean, I didn't see any massive knots in his block or anything like that, so you can't blame it on the wood in this case. It's just he's probably a bit tired. Maybe he's struggling with you know, a cold or something the last days, and he just didn't have the power. It happens, you know.
This is not to be underestimated. This really is
absolutely
a very, very tough workout. So yeah, those 4 disciplines within.
I mean, the best in the world get through all 4 of these disciplines in the amount of time it takes me to cut a single buck. So.
Talking about these kinds of athletes, 2 Swedes.
Tough situation for both of these guys going up against each other.
Ferry against Emil. That's a classic. I mean, they've been practicing together for so many years now, and they know each other so well. But to do this on stage, to do this in the quarterfinal, it's a European trophy. That's something special.
Well, the thing is Ferry Swan has grown into the sport, and Emil Hansen has grown up with the sport. So, you know, Ferry is he's definitely, you know, a premier TIMBERSPORTS athlete. You know, his fitness level is on point every single time. He's got his, you know, his team behind him with his mom, who is herself a fantastic cross-country ski athlete, and you know, she knows what it's all about to be part and parcel with the fitness, mixing together with everything here that's so important for these guys. And as we saw earlier, you know, the fitness does play a huge role here.
For sure.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your swords.
So will Emil Hansen be able to do it to Ferry Swan one more time, or will Ferry Swan finally get the revenge that he wants so badly?
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dead even start for both of these guys. Who's got the clean feel on the saw? It looks like it's going to be Emil Hansen onto the underhand chop, and he gets his first drivers in just ahead of Ferry Swan. Ferry Swan quick with the axe though in hand. And he's got that pace. Emil Hansen moving over to the other side of his block, well ahead, about 4 strokes ahead of of Ferry Swan. And Ferry Swan on the second side of his block now. Emil Hansen's got to cut through that last little piece. That's going to be trouble.
Oh, they're head-to-head.
And they're head-to-head here by virtue of one piece that hung on for dear life on Emil Hansen's block. And now Ferry Swan is super solid in this discipline. Look at these guys go. They're going to drop those cookies at almost the same time, moving over to the underhand chop. So it's going to come down to one single discipline. Who's got it, folks? Is it going to be Emil Hansen, or is it going to be Ferry Swan? Emil Hansen looking good here as he's got some big chops going through there.
Oh, exactly the same time.
Same time over to the other side. Emil Hansen, Ferry Swan, Emil Hansen. Who's got the wiggle waggle block first? Both of them hitting tit for tat. Is it going to be Hansen? Oh, it's going to be Ferry Swan. He's done it. He's finally beaten Emil Hansen in the trophy format. It's taken a couple years, but he's gotten there. And Emil Hansen just had a troublesome block on that second side. You can see there was a lot of juice still left up there, and Salad hanging on for dear life.
Whew. What a heat. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's always nice to see.
Ferry Swan.
Emil Hansen congratulating Ferry Swan, and this time is absolutely amazing. The fastest we've seen so far in these quarterfinals. 1.0603.
And we could just hear the whistle blast in the background from Bart Janssen, letting the stage crew know that they are now able to come on stage and reset. And we take a look back at the highlights from this incredibly close heat between these two Swedes. And the big question is, how can you tell they train together?
I don't know.
Now, Emil Hansen had a bit of a detour there to go around the block to get the axe, and but actually got started quicker than Ferry Swan did on this block on the first side. Both of them moving to the other side pretty close to each other. I think that Ferry Swan was maybe 3.5 strokes behind Emil Hansen going on to the second side. Emil Hansen getting through here, but what happened is the block broke. He had chip out there, a big slab, and he had to go through that one last little piece to make it fair. And then they both move over to the single buck at the same time. And look at this, bing, bang, boom, sync with each other. I mean, just absolutely on point with their starts. And you know that Emil Hansen's got a lot of feedback from his dad in a discipline that his dad was so good at. And watch these cookies drop almost dead even with each other. And again, Emil Hansen looking for the detour to get to his axe on that standing block chop. Ferry Swan, the focus on that man is absolutely incredible. You could see a quick look up by Emil Hansen over to the other side of the stage to see where Ferry was. And you could see the difference in the cut accuracy by Ferry Swan was just a little bit better than Emil Hansen. Emil Hansen had some serious salad on that first side. You could see the steps, you know, that's the stairs going up to Gibraltar on that block. And the second side just didn't work out for him as well as he had hoped. And Ferry Swan takes advantage of that and goes on to the semi-final.
So just one more quarterfinal missing, and that of course is between the man himself. Everybody's cheering for Michal Dubitsky against Koen Martens, silver medalist of last year's European trophy. Michal Dubitsky against the bronze medalist Koen Martens.
Check out that national record from Michal Dubitsky, 55.38. It's only 1.5 seconds slower than the world record. So yeah, the guy is on fire.
Ten doping musi dodać mu dodatkowej energii, a ma prawo być zmęczony po wczorajszym i po dzisiejszym teraz.
So, I wonder what's going through Koen Martens' head right now, knowing that he's going up against Michal Dubitsky, you know? It's like, is he asking, when's the next Christina Aguilera concert happening? You know, what burger am I going to eat for dinner tonight at the caravan over here?
I'm not quite sure if you're on the right track on this.
I don't know. I don't think I am either. But, you know, he's got to be thinking about something other than the big man opposite him on the stage, because otherwise that would just make him too nervous, I think. It would drive me nuts knowing that I'm up there going up against one of the best in this format. And it depends on whether I'm going to get through here.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by both of them. Clean cut by both. A little bit faster is Dubitsky as he moves over to the other side. Koen Martens right there. Dubitsky so quick with that axe, it's insane. Koen Martens going to have to play up a little bit here against Dubitsky as Dubitsky's onto the other side of his block already. Koen Martens moved over to the other side yet. Now he has. There we go. Dubitsky working that second side. He's clean through as he puts that axe, almost threw it into the safety block as Koen Martens is almost through. 3 or 4 more drivers should do it for the Belgian as he is through now and heads over to the single saw. Dubitsky is now done with the single saw, over to the standing block chop as the time just rounds up to 50 seconds. That's an unbelievable run so far for the pole. Michal Dubitsky, Koen Martens working hard to get through the single saw as he has done it now, and he just saunters over to the standing block chop. It's pretty clear in his mind now that there's no chance for him to catch up to Dubitsky. And look at the accuracy of these drivers here, each time online, and that is why you do it. And how you do it right there, folks.
Wow.
1:10:42, but the time doesn't matter here. It's an elimination round, and Dubicki will go on to the semifinal.
Zrobił to po prostu, zrobił to Michał Dubicki! Ale trzymamy też kciuki za...
Fans giving Koen Martens plenty of support here as he's really struggling to get through that second side. It's been a long, hot day for him with all the training and all the things that have gone on. Koen Martens.
That almost landed in our studio.
It almost landed in our studio. That's the power that he's got, but he just wasn't quite there today to take on the big man from Poland, Michał Dubicki.
Okay, the winner is Michał Dubicki.
Yes.
So our semi-final is set. We're going to take a look at our rankings first. We'll take a look at our rankings after the slow-mos, but the semi-final is set. We'll let you know who that is shortly here, but you just saw it's definitely going to be Michał Dubicki going in there by virtue of a really, really nice run here. And quick over to the underhand chop. And you know when Michał Dubicki gets on the underhand chop, there is just no stopping the man. He has taken on that speedy axe style, but not only that, he has the power and the accuracy to really make damage on that block. Now, Koen Martens is no slouch. Look how accurate he is with his cuts, each side. Nice and baby buttery smooth. But, you know, when you're going up against a guy that can hit that frequently and that accurately, it's a tough one to beat. And Dubicki locking that axe in place, and everybody making note of making sure that axe is holding onto that safety block properly after the DQ from Oliver Reinhardt. You can see the fatigue setting in here on that single saw for Koen Martens as Michał Dubicki goes for it. Moving over to the other side of his standing block chop. He is just a beast. And there's the final driver. The death blow for Koen Martens, unfortunately. Plenty of support from the audience to get that final driver for Koen to get it done. But it's not his day. And we'll take a quick look here at the semifinal. And we are going to be joined in studio by Koen shortly, but there you see semifinal will be Martin, Matthias Klima, Redmer Knoll, Ferry Swan, and Michał Dubicki.
So this is the moment where I kick out Troy Mannering and call in Koen Martens. That was a tough one out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I tried my best, but all the energy was out of the tank. I know I had to give it all to my other teammate, Armin, because we're comparable to each other, so I had to give it all. And maybe I put a little bit too much energy out of the tank to give it against Michał a chance. So, but I'm happy that I'm qualified for next World Trophy. So
that's the
just be happy with what you get on the day. You can always complain by next round or something. Just be happy how it goes today.
And then racing behind Michał Dubicki with that crowd in the background. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things that can happen to you.
No, I saw the crowd in as well. I think they're cheering on me as well a little bit.
They did.
The most.
Especially as soon as Dubicki was finished.
Yeah, so they were happy that Dubicki went through, and then they reached out to me, so thank you for the audience again. They are just amazing.
So it looked like you still had a great day. You qualified for the World Trophy, so it's still, I mean, you didn't go for the medals like last year, but it's still something nice you can be proud of.
Yeah, the family is here as well. My daughters, my wife is here to support me, so what can a man ask more? So I'm a happy man today.
It's always great to have you here. Best of luck for the next competitions, and so much for joining us here in the studio. Koen Martens, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, buddy. So we're back to the competition, and of course, Troy Mannering is going to join me again in here for the next semi-final. Who do you favor in this one? Matthias Klima against Redmer Knoll. This might
Look at the times.
not.
1:12:12, 1:12:22. Throw a coin in the air and hope it hits an ice block. I mean, you know, it's anybody's guess between these two.
Yeah, but you're the expert, so I'm going to have to put you down on this one.
I mean, I hate to say it, I'll give a slight advantage to Matthias Klima by virtue of his stock saw. Redmer Knoll is definitely stronger on the single buck, so if Redmer can get over to the single buck slightly ahead of Matthias, then that will be definitely good for him. I mean, Redmer is the more rounded athlete with a little bit more experience, so in this case, I would give it to him, but these two guys, fitness level's even, timing is even. The only thing that's the difference maker here for me is going to be how one reacts with the stock saw and the other reacts with the single buck.
Okay, I'm very much going to concentrate on that then in this semi-final. Matthias Klima versus Redmer Knoll.
Warm up his horse.
European Trophy 2023, semi-final number 1.
To be honest with you, I mean, I would be happy to see either one of these guys in the final. It would be a really big deal for either one of them. Redmer Knoll deserves it definitely. So let's just see how it goes.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to give it everything they have.
1, go!
Big hearts in both those athletes, and great start.
Really nice cut from Matthias Klima, though, but Redmer Knoll, no slouch at all, as he is actually a stroke ahead of Matthias moving over to the underhand chop. So this is looking like a really good heat between these two guys already. Redmer getting a bit of a sticky axe 2 times there as he switches over to the other side of his block. Matthias Klima right there with him, though, on the second side. It could be close coming towards that single buck. Who's going to get through this block first? And it's going to be, oh, Matthias Klima gets through, but it's not that far ahead of Redmer Knoll. So here's where the advantage could be for Redmer as he gets that saw going. Matthias struggling already. Redmer's got that nice smooth flow, but Matthias keeping up there with him. And Redmer slightly advantage there as he gets to the underhand chop first, but Matthias Klima not that far behind. And we know that Matthias very strong in this discipline. Redmer has the advantage at the moment. How much of one is going to be how well that Matthias Klima can get on this block. Redmer Knoll moving around to the other side.
Exactly the
and
same
they're
time.
both moving over to the other side at the same time. It's going to be close here. Matthias has got the power. Does Redmer have what he needs to get through that block? He's coming close to it. He really wants it.
With the personal best.
Redmer Knoll's done it. Personal best of 1:11:49. I'm spitting all over the computer and the mics here. Unbelievable run from Redmer Knoll. Fantastic. Matthias Klima so close, but it came down to that single saw again. And Matthias needs to work on that. He's so good everywhere else, and that single saw just cost him here, and he was so close at the end, though, so close.
I'm proud of Redmer Knoll. He's stepping up his game in the semi-final.
The European final.
Personal best.
Yeah, amazing. And he's had a season. He's had a season since Rotterdam. It's so fantastic to see. Personal best 1:11:22 for Redmer Knoll. We are going to see him in the final. Question is, who's it going to be against? Is it going to be against Ferry Svan or Michal Dubitsky? Let's take a look back at this highlight here.
I tell you what, with this time, he stands a chance to win this.
Nice clean cut there from both of these guys. Now, I thought that Matthias was going to take this one down, but it was Redmer, but just by a hair ahead of Matthias Klima, and he was just a bit quicker getting over to the underhand. However, Matthias Klima on the underhand was a powerhouse. He actually got through it just ahead of Redmer Knoll did. Look at the concentration, though, with each driver. Big sticky axe there for Redmer. There you see the feet of Redmer Knoll as he's trying to get through that block. And here is the driver that gets Matthias Klima through. But yeah, he was just a half stroke behind. Knoll sets his axe in that safety block and then moves over to the single buck. Now here's the difference right here. There's a big sticky start and a hiccup, as you say, on the misery whip by Matthias Klima. And then he got it going and he had nice pace, but he just wasn't quite as clean through the cuts as Redmer was. And you could see here, nice clean drawback, cuts it through and moves over to the standing block chop. Now, what do we got? 1, 2, 3 hits in before Matthias moves over. Then Matthias so strong in this discipline. Redmer was a little bit lucky here that Matthias was back behind as far as he was, because that gave him the advantage and gave him the opportunity to win this one with that final driver. Great job, though, by Redmer Knoll and Matthias Klima. Love to see those personal best fall as well.
Especially in the semi-final.
Yeah.
This is where you have to deliver, and he definitely did. Very, very impressive.
right, so our final heat here in the semi-final.
Clash of the Titans
against Michał Dubicki. Oj, oj, oj.
Przed państwem reprezentant Szwecji, Ferry Swan! Zobaczcie, granica nagroda 83.
Just wait for the crowd to react to Michał Dubicki coming on stage.
Ferry Swan is a stone-cold killer when it comes to these events and being on stage. And when he's got that flow, it's hard to deny him, yeah? But Michał Dubicki, he's got those people on his side. They're supporting him. They've got the big audience here that's enjoying the sunshine of the day. And they're going to be supporting that man right there as the great hope for Poland in this European trophy.
And he, of course, knows how to get to a final. He's shown us in Rotterdam at the World Trophy, so he's used to these situations. Got rid of the extra weight of the GoPro.
Yeah. He's seen what he needs to see, and that's all that matters.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your swords.
Perfect setting here.
Athletes, ready.
The crowd's starting to chant
Stand to
Michał
your
Dubicki.
timber.
Here we go.
3, 2,
Sounds
1,
out, guns
go!
out. Poznan cheer for Dubicki. That's a brilliant start from both of the athletes.
Yeah, very nice start. Ferry Swan clean through. Now watch the similarity between their styles here on the underhand chop.
Oh, wow.
Bing, bang, boom, bing, bang, boom. They're so quick with the axes. It's insane.
This is unreal.
Over to the other side, a little hop by Dubicki as he is just slightly ahead of Ferry Swan on the underhand chop here as the pace starts to change a little bit on the second side. Ferry Swan could be through quick like. Is it going to be? No, it's going to be Dubicki, but Ferry Swan right there with him. Now here's where a chance is for Ferry Swan to do some damage, but Dubicki, he's got himself a very nice cut there, starting and deep. Both of them pretty well close to the bottom of the cut. Swan a little bit of a disadvantage now, heading over to the standing block chop. Dubicki on his standing block chop, side number one, getting through. Ferry Swan, big chips going for both of these guys as they're blowing blocks out of there as quickly as possible. Moving over to the other side, both at the same time, could be close. Dubicki with the power, Swan with the endurance. Let's see who's going to get through there first. Is it going to be Michał Dubicki or is it going to be Ferry Swan? Dubicki, I can't see through his wide shoulders.
Oh my God, it's just
if
one.
He's through there, it's going to be Ferry Swan! Oh my goodness! Ferry Swan beats Michał Dubicki by 2 seconds, just by the hair of his chinny chin chin. It's like 1.5 drivers for Ferry Swan ahead of Michał Dubicki. So that changes the whole status of our final by a margin. What a finish there. An absolute monumental battle by two masters on stage. Oi, oi, oi.
And the winner is Ferry Swan.
And I tell you what, this final is going to be something else, with Red McNull having a time of 1:11.22 and Ferry Swan 1:12.99.
Yeah.
So everything and anything is possible.
Yeah, as we've seen today, it's the favorite just got knocked out in the semi-final. That means he's going to go to our small final or consolation final. So Ferry Swan with a really monumental effort here against an incredible athlete in Michał Dubicki. Look at this here, both of them dropping those cookies at roughly the same time, moving over to that underhand chop at roughly the same time. So quick with the axes. Look at how fast they move them and the frequency of the drivers into the block. The accuracy absolutely insane by both of these guys. This is the routine and the training that they go through in order to make sure that they have exactly the movement and the action that they need. Dubicki 1 stroke ahead of Swan onto the other side. And I believe it was Dubicki that got through the block through, 1 stroke ahead. There, they kept that stroke differential, and then
I believe
it came
he was
to,
up front until like the last 10 seconds.
We got into the single buck here, and you can see Ferry Swan. He's not using the entire length of the saw like Dubicki is, but Dubicki was just a little bit slower than Swan moving over to the standing block chop, and Swan he had that pace. You know, the fitness level was definitely there for Swan. Not saying that Dubitsky's fitness level isn't there, but look at this. They're both moving over to the other side of that block at the same time. It was really down to millimeters of wood what was left over, and Dubitsky just hammering away. Now, a little bit of fatigue can start to play a role here as you start to cut new wood. You don't have the accuracy that you would like to have, and that's where Ferry Swan has a distinct advantage, because he keeps those cuts super clean, super accurate, and that was it. A two-stroke difference, and Ferry Swan sends that thing out into left field to get him into the final against Redmer Knoll. So there we see semi-final 1, semi-final 2, and who is moving into the small final would be Matthias Klima going up against Michael Dubitsky, and in the big final, Redmer Knoll against Ferry Swan.
That is a bit of a surprise, but
it is, to be sure, but I'm not all that surprised, because we know that Ferry Swan is so strong, he's so fast, he's so skilled. But he's just had a little bit of bad luck in the trophy format in the last couple of seasons. So it came down to his headspace today, and it played out for him, really. And I mean, it was literally on that last standing block chop, those last two strokes for him, it was perfect. It was, and the accuracy played such a role here. And this is what we talk about all the time, the accuracy of those cuts. If you got nice smooth sides, or if you're stepping each time you're cutting new wood, it's taking more time to cut through.
And it seems to be more of a mental game than you might think at the beginning. Shimon Grunwald, in the time trials, the fastest, I would even say by far. But getting into the competition, you know, man to man, it is something different. And you could see it worked out for Ferry Swan this time, who's had, like you said, a bit of bad luck over the last few seasons. And now he's there. He's in the final. So congrats.
Fitness, 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 and more fitness. Not that I would know anything about that,
about
but
fitness?
This is what it's all about.
Don't forget
it's
the
about
fitness.
yeah?
And also, we've got lots of STIHL Timber Sports coming up for you guys tonight. For instance, at 9 p.m., the U.S. Championships, the pros.
For real this time.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of a mistake marking that one yesterday, but it was the qualifications yesterday. And then we're going to see the Pro Championships tonight.
Yeah,
so
9 p.m. Central European time, and a lot more. We'll have got a traffic for you coming up. So you can join us if you want for all of these events that are going to be live streamed. Of course, the US Pro Championships, as we just mentioned, the Nordic Championships, also going to be a nice one. Swiss and Austrian Championships, European Nations Rookie Cup. That's another one you really enjoy.
Look, it's July, August, September, October, November. There's action every month, all the way up until the Team World Championships and the Individual World Championships on the 3rd and 4th of November in Stuttgart. Really looking forward to that. It's back in Stuttgart since last time was 2016, when we saw a couple of major records fall. And I mean, tons of action still to come today, with 2 more heats to go in our European trophy. And before that, let's take a look at a couple of commercial breaks here for our sponsors.
Get your garden ready with premium quality cordless tools by STIHL.
All right, so stage still being prepared out there. We're just missing one standing block and one underhand shot, but they'll get that set up shortly for our athletes.
As they've done all weekend. Big shout out to the crew.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Just like in Formula One, this is amazing what we're getting to see here. And of course, the STIHL Timber Sports European Trophy presented by Ford has been absolutely great so far. The small semi-final coming up in just a moment. That's the bronze medal game, and I've just been told we can show everybody out there a bit of the history of the first extreme sport.
The original extreme sport, where it started and where it's gone.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
Thomas losing the ones that get to it. There's still some wild out there. But to look for it, you need something that can look adventure in the eye. Something built wild. You need a Bronco.
Things are going wild.
Yeah,
and
some
now,
changes going on
now
here,
we
we've
know
just
the
heard.
reason why some of the... but Michal Dubicki is just telling everyone why he will not be able to compete in the
so it
bronze
turns
medal
out
game.
that he's got an injury, so that means Matthias Klima will go on stage by himself just to make sure that he's got a time in the books for this small final. By default, that means he will take the bronze medal today, and you'll still see some action out on stage, but Michal Dubicki injured himself in that last heat somehow, and this is probably one of the reasons why he wasn't really on point in that last heat. Taking nothing away from the way that Ferry Swan competed in that one, but this is the nature of sport in all sports, and that's just unfortunate for Michal Dubicki not to be able to compete one last time for his audience here, but he did make a statement to the audience, taking a moment to apologize to them and let them know that, yeah, he can't do it because of injury.
I did not understand a word, but the reaction from the crowd was amazing, so good way of saying goodbye. And
exactly.
I mean, he's the kind of guy he would take on the challenge anytime if it wasn't properly
Absolutely.
injured, so.
This is not a guy that's going to be the type of person to give up on something where he could possibly get points that are pretty important, actually, in the European rankings, as well as in qualifying for the World Trophy next year, which he has, but nevertheless, it's one of those things that none of these guys want to take lightly. You know, they want to be out there and they want to be competing.
Especially in front of your home crowd. It's for Maciej Klima, this now is like a bit of a practice run with getting
let's call it a bronze medal victory lap here. He doesn't really have to push the pace much.
I like that, yeah, bronze medal victory lap.
So, and I do believe this is the farthest that Matthias Klima has come in the trophy format. In fact, I don't think I can remember a time where Matthias Klima was past the quarterfinals. So this is a really big victory for him, and this is a fantastic amount of points that's going to go into his coffers for the coming season.
So now it's time to enjoy yourself, Maciej. Show us another good time. And a pre-run before we go into the big final. The gold medal heat between Redmer Knoll and Ferry Swan.
World Trophy, he was 10th place. European Trophy last year was 12th place. So this is definitely his best result in this event. Absolutely.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
This is a tough situation for an athlete as well. I mean, you know, he doesn't need to worry about it, but it's still a matter of pride to make sure that you get as good a time as possible, but he's not going to be racing like crazy. He wants to make sure he cuts clean and cuts secure and cuts safe and gets himself a time in the books. And maybe he might even get himself a good time, who knows?
And big shouts out to this crowd, really supporting him.
Nice timing as he gets through that underhand chop, moving over to the single buck. And this is actually a great opportunity for him to practice the single buck without pressure. And look at this, no pressure, and he's flowing very clean with that single buck. So this is going to be a lesson for him right away, that he knows that under pressure, he perhaps applies a little bit too much power into the saw and doesn't have to get a nice clean cut.
Look at the support from the crowd. It's brilliant here.
Yeah, I love it.
Kozlin, absolute great host here.
With each driver, they're clapping. With each driver hit, they're clapping. It's awesome.
Two more.
There we go.
Just one.
1:19.57 from Matthias Klima, and that will be a bronze medal for the young Czech. Great job.
Well deserved. Just like you said, he's going to be very, very pleased.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matthias Klima!
And the winner is... Yeah, that's great.
Andrew
So we
Hall,
now
yes.
have our bronze medalist lined up, and we'll see him on the podium later on, and he'll be proud about that result today, jumping
For
up
sure.
from a 12th place last year to a 3rd place this year.
That's impressive.
A major improvement.
And it was well deserved.
Yes, absolutely. He did a great job. The thing for me that was telltale in this particular heat, with Matthias being out there alone, knowing that there's no pressure of an elimination here, is how he did on the single buck. That was really interesting, because you could see that he was very, very clean with the single. Now watch here. Kicks the block out of the way. A little bit of a choppy start, but then once he got that saw moving, he was running it clean tip to knuckles, and he had a very, very efficient cut. I mean, if he had had those cuts earlier on, he might have even been faster in each of his times, yeah? And we know that he's got plenty of power for the chopping disciplines, underhand and standing block chop. Here, the accuracy was kind of missing a little bit on that first side, and on the second side, he just wanted to get it done and dusted. Not his best time, but he doesn't care. He's got a bronze medal to take home with him today.
Let's not forget that was the 5th time he stepped out there today. So
not only that, time trials, round of 16, quarterfinal, semifinal, final, plus all the training prior and the warm-ups and the testing of the axes. So it's a busy day, and when it's hot and humid, that really drains on the athlete's energy reserves, as you saw with Koen Martens when he came in here. He had just stepped off stage. He had a couple of minutes, and he was still breathing heavy and sweating like a demon next to you in the box here. So yeah,
he is quite an athlete. So
all right, so here we go. Tail of the tape definitely has the advantage going to Ferry Swan, but as we've seen all day and all year for Redmer Knoll, he has been stepping up to the plate and knocking them out of the park. So will today be his day to take a European championship here in the trophy format?
And he had the fastest time in the semifinals. So this man is up for it, no doubt.
So at this year's World Trophy, he ended up in 4th place, which is a huge confidence boost for him. At the European Trophy last year, he was 11th place. In 2021, he had 5th place at the European Trophy. So no matter what, this will be one of his best results ever. If he gets 2nd place or 1st place, for him, this is a huge, huge victory.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your swords.
European Trophy 2023 here in Poznan in Poland. The big final, the gold medal heats. Redmer Knoll versus Ferry Swan.
Last year, Ferry ended up in 5th place in this event.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice
Again,
start,
it's a great
both of
start
these
for
guys.
both athletes, yeah.
Redmer looking a little bit quicker on that stock saw, but here is going to be a decisive moment for both of these guys as Ferry Swan with that quick axe, and the accuracy is really fast. Who will get to the other side first? It's going to be Redmer Knoll over to the other side of his block first. Ferry Swan about 3 strokes behind. Redmer Knoll looking good. A little bit of a sticky bobbly axe there.
Ferry Swan.
And a little bit of a pause there for Redmer as he needed to reset himself on the block, but he is through ahead of Ferry Swan going over to the single buck. He needs to pause, not at all. He needs to concentrate here as Ferry Swan gets that going, and he's so good single sawyer here. Redmer Knoll getting towards the bottom, a bit sticky by both of those guys.
Oh,
that was a fortuitous stop for both of them as they move on to the standing block chop, basically
Could
dead
it
even.
be any closer? I'm not sure.
Redmer Knoll looking good. Ferry Swan also looking good. Chips coming out for both of them. Ferry Swan to the other side of his block. Redmer Knoll over to the other side of his block as well. It could be close. Oh! Is it going to be?
Oh!
With another personal best! Another personal best!
Stepping up his game in the final.
Oh my goodness, folks! Holy Moses! Redmer Knoll is your European Trophy champion with a fantastic effort. Oh my goodness! That was incredible!
A personal best in the semis, and topping that with another personal best in the finals.
By a second almost. What a fantastic run for Redmer Knoll. Big congratulations to him.
Redmer Knoll!
Wow. I tell you, and I tell you again, it's that confidence plays such a massive role. You know that you can do it. You know you've got the skills, and it showed in Redmer Knoll today. He stayed calm, cool, and collected as we got through this final here. And even though he knew that Ferry Swan was chasing him down like a pack of hyenas, he still managed to do it. Let's take a look back at the slow-mo here. Redmer with a beautiful, beautiful cut in stock saw. It was really, really nice. Look at that, just a hair ahead of Ferry Swan. Like I said, Ferry Swan's got that love-hate relationship with the motor saws, be it the stock saw or the hot saw. They just don't agree with him from time to time. Now here, they both get going, but Ferry Swan has that quick pace. He's got that incredible accuracy. Redmer Knoll just doing his best, absolutely, to hold off the man from Sweden. He was first over to the other side. Ferry Swan about a half stroke to 1 stroke behind here on the second side. But look at the chips flying off of Redmer's block there. A little bit sticky. And then he had to reset, and then that final driver as he moves over to that single buck. 4 strokes ahead now, but Ferry Swan is an incredible single sawyer, so strong here. And you could see both of them had a fortuitous stick at the bottom. Bang! Both of them got stuck there right at that second. And then it basically was a restart of the whole thing and a tie game up until the standing block chop. Redmer Knoll and Ferry Swan both moving over to the other side of their blocks, dead even with each other. And it was by virtue of the power of Redmer Knoll and that one final driver that did it, and that got him the European trophy. What a fantastic effort by both of these guys, but congratulations. I'm feeling really, really happy and proud for Redmer Knoll. What a great job he did today. That right there is the face of relief.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, that is the face of relief. Nicely done.
So the stage crew is going to be delighted as well, as they are Dutch. But Redmer Knoll, those final drives, and that stepping up his game, you know, in the semis and, of course, in the final, in the 4th and 5th time he was on stage. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely
remember
fantastic.
In Rotterdam, when I talked to him, he said, oh, I'm exhausted. I didn't expect to go 3 or 4 rounds. You know, that's why I didn't have enough stamina at the end. Now he has. So this man
is the confidence I was talking about. We saw him go in Rotterdam and make it to that 4th place in the overall standings there.
Which surprised himself.
Which surprised himself, and then he realized, oh, right, I can do this. And now, obviously, he's worked on his fitness. Obviously, he's worked on his stamina. Obviously, he's been training all of these things, because you saw he just went up against one of the most fit and best athletes in timber sports in this final here and beat him by 1.5 strokes. And if you watched in the slow-mo, he hit that block with the final stroke and it stuck. And he was like, whoa, I got to go back and hit it again. He could have shaved off perhaps 1 more second in the time that it took to go back.
Redmer's face in that situation.
Exactly. It was like, you know? And, I mean, it was still a personal best of 107 and change. It could have been 106 and change. Who knows? But nevertheless, he is your European trophy champion. Big congratulations to Redmer Knoll
Chapeau,
today.
Redmer Knoll. I mean, and like we just mentioned, you know, to have a personal best in the semis, you say, okay, he's
that's great. Nice, I'll take
but
it.
do it again in the finals. That is just something very, very special. Big, big congrats and shout out to the man. And like I mentioned, I think the crew was quite happy as well. I don't remember a Dutch athlete claiming the trophy for a very, very long time.
It's been a long time,
So brilliant stuff here in Poznan. The crowd, you know, giving the support to both athletes. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's been an awesome day of action here on stage. We're going to head up to the stage shortly for the awards ceremony. But like I said, confidence is a big player here, and Redmer Knoll full of confidence and the win today. Ferry Swan, clearly a top athlete. No 2 ways about it.
And back in the final.
And back in the final again, so it was nice to see him there. Unfortunately, it had to be against a country-mate in Emil Hansson in the semifinals, where one or the other was going out, but it was a little bit of a battle of attrition here. And this time, the better man was Ferry Swan. So, yeah, it was a great day altogether, and I think we're going to bring out the athletes... Or
at least take a look at the,
we're going to take a look at the
final
graphics.
standings.
Okay, sorry.
And then, of course, we're going to go back to stage, like you said, for the winner's ceremony. But let's take a look at the position 16 up to 4, hopefully.
Yep.
Before we call out the top 3. And,
all right. And we've just been informed the top 10 actually qualify for the European Trophy 2024. So that should be really interesting.
Pierre Pubaret is going to be very happy about that. Also, Armin Kugler, like you mentioned, the Austrian cat, always getting involved.
The guy's had 9 lives, and he's had 9 lives for a long time.
Martin Kalliner, Koen Martens, Simon Grönwald and Emil Hansen, as well as Michael Dubitsky.
I sincerely hope that Martin Kallina is feeling better by the time we get to the European Trophy 2024 and has done a little bit of work on his fitness, because today just wasn't his day, and we know he's better than that. We know that.
Sure. But like you said, it's the small things that might make the difference, because he seemed to be good on every discipline, but just the overall, you know, stamina and physique maybe was not as good.
Bit of a rough day for Ollie Reinhard with just one faux pas with his axe, getting a DQ. Tough job for him as well.
Because he was in great shape.
He was in great shape. He looked fantastic.
Job,
I mean, it could have, had he gone through, it might have jockeyed the whole score for everybody else around a little bit, because the boy definitely has the skills. He's strong. He's got the endurance. He knows what to do out there. But he's just had bad luck in the trophy formats the last couple of years, cutting his hand. Last year at the World Trophy in Austria, and this time, you know, just a little flub with not putting the axe in deep enough in the safety block, and you know, that was it.
But this is how you learn. This is how you make progress, you know. As we're getting ready for the prize-giving ceremony, and we're going to go back to our main stage and hopefully see the top 3 step up and enjoy.
Panie I panowie, towarzyszyły nam naprawdę piękne, cudowne sportowe emocje.
And there we see our cameraman Max Sparagus out there on stage, going to make sure we get the nice pictures from him.
Panie I panowie, to Matthias Klima!
So coming out on the stage now, a happy man, his best result ever in the trophy format in the European Trophy. Matthias Klima takes away the bronze medal here.
And the difference, you know, seeing him step up at the beginning, just as the presentation went out, a little unsure. Now he's there claiming bronze, enjoying life.
Lighter, huh?
Absolutely.
His whole
come on,
attitude is lighter.
Oh, this gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I love it. It's good. It's a bit of the changing of the guard as well. We like to see this every once in a while when one of these young guys comes in and does some damage to the old farts that are out there taking up too much space on the stage. So, I mean, I like to see it. There's nothing against the granddaddy caddies and the guys that are still relevant. But
I mean, it's coming from you.
There needs to be a changing of the guard, and these are the guys that are going to do it.
Oh, finally seeing Ferry Svan smile again, back on the podium. So happy for this great guy. Silver medalist here in Poznan at the European Trophy 2023. Well done.
Przypominam, że nagrody wręcza prezes spółki Andreas STIHL Polska, pan Sławomir Surma.
So only one more man missing.
I wonder if the hop is going to happen when he comes up.
And what a season he's had so far.
Yeah, it's been amazing for him. I'm really happy for him. He's done so good this season.
And he is a crowd pleaser, isn't he? So here comes the champ, the winner of the European Trophy 2023. Redmar Knol from the Netherlands. Beautiful stuff. And like you said, you can see the changing of the guards here. 3 young athletes. So here comes not only the gold medal, but of course also the trophy handed over by the head of STIHL, TIMBERSPORTS Poland, Sławomir Surma. Special moment as we await the national anthem of the Netherlands.
So right away, Ferry Swan, he knows what needs to be done as he gets in there and starts spraying everybody. Redmer not wasting too much of it. He wants a big slug of that. And these guys toast each other on stage. Again, folks, get involved in the conversation. Hashtag STIHL Timbersports or hashtag Kiss My Axe. What a great day of European trophy action with some of the best in the world here today. Definitely the best in Europe.
I think the head of Steel Poland, Sławomir Surma, he also got a bit of the champagne.
Yeah, I don't think he was used to the situation up there and wasn't too aware of how the champagne shower, but I don't think he's complaining either.
Not at all. He's seen a great competition, and I mean, they have been fantastic hosts here in Poland, I have to say. Poznan has been really fantastic to all the athletes.
They could have ordered us better weather yesterday, but you know, that being said, today's been epic.
Oh, look at the joy.
Alessandro Ciapponi, Koen Martens coming out on the stage. There's Pierre Puy-Barré. All of the guys coming out to congratulate our athletes. Alexander Maurice out there as well. Armin Kugler. There's that smile from Armin.
Yeah, he doesn't know he's on camera.
Yeah, that's probably why. Oh, wait, camera's on me.
Look at Redman. He can't get enough of that champagne, can he?
I think he just grabbed somebody else's bottle.
Oh, is that yours? Oh, yeah.
One final photo op. I hope he doesn't drink too much before he comes in the studio to join you.
Me, on the other hand, I hope he drinks a lot because the interview might get even more funny than it normally is with him. Such a cheeky guy, always a great pleasure.
A na koniec słowo do tych Państwa, którzy już odchodzą. Bardzo serdecznie dziękujemy, bo to wydarzenie było...
Oh, Szymon Grunwald smiling again.
Yeah. You know, Szymon, he put the hammer down on these guys earlier on with the fastest time of the day, and everybody was kind of looking at this young man going, whoa, 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 wait a minute. But, you know, the experience played a massive role, and he saw that in his battle against Matthias Klima, and Matthias Klima ended up in that third place position, and by virtue of just being experienced and very good, Matthias Klima, like I said, is not too long out of the rookie ranks, but you know that
oh, next injury might be...
we might have an injury before we get up there with Ollie Reinhardt lifting up Redmer Knoll on his shoulder along with Szymon Grunwald. A couple of strong kids, though. I think they can handle it.
And he's such a nice character. You can see by his picture that the other guys really like him.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy for him. Yeah, coming up next, US Pro Championships, 9 p.m. Central European Time. Let's not forget.
For real this time.
and this is another important one because we're going to find out who's going to join us in Stuttgart for the World Championships.
Right,
Whoever wins the US Pro Championships is going to be here, and he's going to be one of the contenders for the crown, as we expect. Because
will it be Matt Kogar joining us again, or will one of the other guys be pushing the needle over there to a different athlete coming over?
Who knows, but we'll find out tonight.
We will see. So it'll be fun to watch that one. We'll definitely be tuning in here and keeping a close eye on things. And Redmer Knoll has just stepped into the studio, so I'm going to exit stage right. He's going to join us over here for a quick interview with Floaty. Redmer, come on in.
Here comes the man with the trophy. Buddy, what is going on in 2023? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know. Something different this year. I don't know. I trained a lot. But before this competition, I even had not too much time to train because we're moving houses and everything. And yeah, I don't know. It all comes together.
I remember we had a chat in Rotterdam, and then you proceeded to the semi-finals. You said you didn't expect to have to go so many rounds. Now you made it even a round further, and you had a personal best in the semis and a personal best in the finals. What is going on with Redmer Knoll?
I made sure I was fitter than in Rotterdam. In Rotterdam, we also had the national trophy of a national championship. I focused more on that instead of the world trophy, and now I made sure I could do 5 rounds. So it was really good.
Yeah, and they were really good. I mean, Troy, of course, was watching this very, very closely, and he says it's also a bit of a mind game because you realized in Rotterdam, okay, I am good enough, I can do this, I have the possibilities, and obviously you delivered today.
Yeah, I feel quite comfortable. You know what you can do, and you can beat some guys, and sometimes they beat you. But if you believe in what you do yourself, and it would be good. So.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the personal bests with Ferry Swan, he has a better personal best. So going into this competition against him, did you feel that pressure, or did you just say, oh no, I'm going to go for it. I know what I'm made of, and I know that when it goes down to being really deadly, I'm a poisonous viper.
Yeah, but, Ferry Swan is always dangerous to compete against. He's a top athlete. But all the guys who are here are top athletes, I know how hard it is to only get here. And so everybody can take a win on a day or something like that. And, yeah, it all needs to come together.
Well, today it all came together for you. How the celebration's going to look like tonight?
I think we have a few beers. First, I'm going to call the wife and the kid, and after that, we're going to have a few beers, I think.
Well deserved. We've got the US Pro Championships coming up tonight at 9 p.m. Are you going to join us to take a look at that?
Maybe, if I'm awake.
Okay, no details on that. Redmer Knoll, the champion. What a likable person. Troy, join us again. Yeah. Take good care of the trophy. Yeah. Well deserved. And see you at the next competition, buddy.
Yeah. See you. Bye-bye.
Great stuff, huh?
All right, so great job by Redmer Knoll taking the championship top spot today, the gold medal. And that's his best result ever at a European trophy or a trophy event generally. It's massive for him, and it's fantastic. I'm really proud of the guy, and I'm really happy for him, and I think it's good.
Absolutely. What a fantastic day. And hopefully they're going to have a fantastic day in the US, in Milwaukee today, with the US Pro Championships coming up. We're very much looking forward to that. And big shout outs to everybody in Milwaukee. We'll be watching you very closely.
Yes, we will.
So we're going to go to the highlights of the day. Poznan has been a treat for us. Troy, I still got goosebumps of all the things that have been happening this weekend, but that was a grande finale. Sun is shining. Maybe we can join Redmer for a beer.
I think maybe we'll do that. My goosebumps have melted away from the heat, but it's been a fantastic day today. I'm always grateful to be able to be part of these events from whatever angle I happen to come at it, and we hope you guys out there had a good time with us today, because I know I had a ball calling this one.
Goodbye from the European Trophy in Poznan in Poland, presented by Ford. Here are the highlights of the day.
See you, everybody.